After Darkers, tune in right now for the continuation of part 2 of marriage, divorce, and being a widow.
Or if you could go to a parent or to your nucleus family, somebody, and say, "This is what's going on. What do I do?"
Time out.
Yeah.
For all of the members that don't know what nucleus is, go ahead and please give the definition of that.
So
to be honest.
my thought, and I use the word, but a nuclear family, I am going to believe to be your immediate family. So it's going to be the mother, father, your brothers, sisters. It could be even radiate to like your grandmother, aunts, and so forth. But you're not going to go out too much further than that.
Like
Okay.
your support.
Just that's what that being married and that family is about. Your core.
Okay.
Let's just use your core.
And I can relate it to like business. Like say for instance, if you want to become successful, are you going to surround yourself with people that's not successful and get knowledge from them?
Absolutely.
Or are you going to go to people that's successful? So the same thing about marriage is like, if you want to stay married, you're going to find people or you're going to talk to people who actually is married and that lived marriage.
Great analogy.
But to go back to your question about people who currently don't necessarily have a relationship with Jesus, who are currently in things, or either in a marriage or in a relationship where they know it's not working or they're contemplating divorce, it's great for us to talk theoretically about having that system. In a perfect world, we would have all grown up like that. The reality is a lot of us didn't.
Exactly.
The one thing I can say, and I can speak from a woman's perspective, whether it's you're in a relationship and you know you shouldn't progress, or you're already in a marriage and you know you shouldn't progress, what do I do? What I had to learn in hindsight, and such as I have, I give to you guys and experience, and hopefully you guys can take the explanation instead of the experience, is you've never gone so far into something that you cannot come back from. And this is especially for those contemplating marriage.
Can you repeat that one more time?
You've never gone so far into something that you cannot come back from. So you think about, like Mom was saying, I've invested all this time into this man, or we're already living together, or we already have kids together, or we've already planned. I was so focused on saving face the first time around. It was so much harder to undo after we had already been married for 9 years. And we spent 9 years married, but spent probably the bulk of those 9 years apart, getting back together and then moving out and saying we're separating and we're divorcing. It was harder to undo after I do than it would have just been to be like, you know what? I was going to say something mean.
But you know what, too, along with that, if you are in a situation, in a marriage, and the marriage is disintegrated to the point where there is physical abuse, where there is all of these other things going on, and you have children in that marriage, it's better to go on and get divorced, because you are now raising your children in a dysfunctional environment. Don't get it wrong. They grow up to think that dysfunction is normal. So in the long run, you can't say, "Oh, I'm in this marriage because of the kids."
Yeah, I hate that
That's
excuse.
the worst
So-
reason to
That's
stay
the worst
together.
thing you can do.
So I'm going to take a different opinion on that, because I was an alcoholic for years, and I was a good alcoholic. I mean, I was like special forces alcoholic.
Oh, Lord.
What's a special force?
Okay,
Green Beret.
and
You're a Marine. huh?
Navy SEAL.
had my first wife, and I had my first wife left me when I was drinking. She would have never realized that I stopped drinking, and I actually stopped drinking in my first marriage. So had she left, she would not have given me the opportunity to better myself. Now, I do think, yes, you do need to, especially with children, try to get to some normalcy. So in that normalcy, you may have to separate until things can get better. But I don't think divorce is always the answer for dysfunction. I think you try to work on it the best you can, but you have to, if the other person is willing to work.
both
that's
have to
the
be
key.
willing to do the work.
Right.
And
If
I
that-
think it's different situations, babe. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, and you're exactly right. So that's why I say I take a different opinion. It's not hey, there's dysfunction, so now I'm getting divorced. But I think depending on the situation. And for me, and Stephen brought up a good point. Next time he does it, divorce is not an option. So we also have to go into it like divorce is not an option. I want to talk about some of the things, some of the leading things that can help lessen divorce before marriage. You know, a lot of times we talk about check your credit score and so forth. So I'm not going to discount all these things that other experts have said. But me being in marriage now, I think one of the things people don't talk about before getting married is how do you fight?
Yes.
What is your fight style?
Yes.
Because you're going to fight.
Are you Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What's up, son?
Yeah.
What, we Southside? What you want to do? How you want to do this?
Down and
Are you
dirty.
Power Rangers?
I'm
You know what I mean? Are you the Green Ranger? You the White
Right.
Ranger?
All right, I got a squad. You got a squad. Look, hey, Big Mike getting out of jail. He needs some money. What's up? What you want to do?
But no, I think that is definitely important, talking
You have
about
to
like
set
your
ground
fighting
rules,
styles.
yes.
And I think we're coming up with something like very organic here to know that before marriage, you need to ask, what are your fighting styles? Like, how do I know you're gonna fight for me when I gave up on myself?
And even when you disagree, like he said, my fighting style typically would have been, I call what a stuffer and an exploder. So I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing. So I'm stuffing all my emotions until I reach like I'm tapped out, and then boom, I'm exploding. And you are not only getting the wrath for whatever the situation is that we're arguing about now,
You're gonna
but
get
you're
it from
getting
the
the wrath
past.
of everything
Yeah.
else I didn't say. And so then I become the Hulk, and I'm spitting and cussing like for real, going off. And ain't nothing cute about that. I mean,
Right.
who wants to watch that? So you have to.
Girl, you always cute.
Ooh, look at him.
Well,
I
the
like
thing
him.
about it too is that when you stuff, because I used to be a stuffer.
Used
I
to
wouldn't
be?
say, yeah, I used to
It
be.
ain't going nowhere.
We talking about marriage,
No,
Stephen.
it
We
is.
talking about
Oh, marriage.
Let's
In the
keep it
marriage.
on
Oh, sorry.
marriage.
All right.
I mean,
Sorry.
I used to be a stuffer. I wouldn't say anything, or I'd get so mad to the point where, okay, I'm not saying anything because I say something, I'm gonna say the last thing, and then I'm gonna go off on everything.
That's true, guys. That's
Okay.
that's definitely true.
What I
Again,
had
marriage.
learned, and I'm not proud of it, but I didn't come into this until maybe the last, I'd say 6-7 years of my marriage. Out of 45 years, I finally learned, people, that you have to have a way to fight. In order to fight fair, you have to be able to communicate well. And communicate don't mean talking back and forth. It means listening.
That's a
I
good
mean,
key.
really listening and hearing what the other person says. At some point, sometimes you have to agree to disagree and leave it go. And you may walk away from it and come back 3 or 4 days or a week later and say, okay, I see your point. I don't necessarily agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from.
That's very good.
It's understanding where the other person is coming from. What is their limit? And how do you compromise to get past that particular stage or incident that you're going
Hey,
through?
Grandma coming with the brownies, man.
So that's a very good point. I keep saying that's a good point because that helped me and Andrea out a lot. We used to go back and forth arguing, and then I think we should start to realize, slow down, let me listen. Okay, oh, so that's what you're saying, because the big thing for Andrea for the long times, you don't hear me, you don't hear me,
Exactly.
you don't hear me,
I'm listening to you though.
But you
you
don't
don't hear me, you don't hear
And
me.
there's a difference.
So what I said, okay, God, you got to help me, and it was like a light bulb went off. I'm a light bulb, ding ding ding, and she would say something, and I said, baby, this is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
I'm hearing you say this. I say I didn't, and then once I could say it back, I say, you know something, I did not realize how that made you feel. I didn't. Now I'm not saying I was wrong because I may not have known what my actions were doing.
Right.
But it helped me to change my actions so she wouldn't feel that pain again.
And I think for me, I was one when we would disagree, and that I wasn't listening to hear his heart. I was listening to respond. So I'm already thinking about what I'm about to say.
So it's like you already had that
You can just
mindset.
respond.
Yeah.
So I'm, in essence, I'm not listening to him because I'm thinking about my response instead of listening to understand. I was listening to like, okay, but let me come back with this. Do I want to be right or do I want to be happy?
Like lawyers in the courtroom.
Just
Yes.
going at it with no judge.
Lord,
Yes.
your Lord in the cut.
Yes,
Yeah.
making no progress.
Making no progress.
Yes.
I've definitely encountered that a time or two. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can keep going higher. So we have listening as one, communication, listening, and these are notes to take before you get married. So there is no divorce. This is your fight for divorce.
There's also in that, it's just understanding the other person's point of view, understanding their pain. How did they get to that pain? Talk to me. Tell me how you got there. Oh, so now this is what this is about. That, you know something? I apologize. This is not what I intended. I see how that makes you feel. I will work on that.
So let me ask you a question. Now, what happened if your spouse or the person that you're getting engaged to, and Nicole she could probably say, yeah, that's true. But what if they don't let you in? How can you get past that barrier? Because mind you, there's some people that still hold on to stuff that won't let you in. How do you feel like?
What do you mean by
like let you in as far as not telling you about some of their dark secrets? Like as far as how
Oh,
they
you talking
got
about
to
like
that
me?
place.
Because that's my deal. My deal is that.
So how did you let Andrea in to be able to share some of you? Well, let me get some of that wine too. You know I like to drink on this show.
Wine
Yeah.
and French fries.
Wine and French fries with some
He is
ketchup.
classy.
And we might bring in some open pit barbecue sauce and just
Yes,
tear our
for
stomach
all the people
up.
from Chicago.
But my question is, I can make that right. That's cool. Thank you. But my question is, how did you let Andrea, or what did Andrea do for you to open up to her? Because there's a lot of people that struggle with just opening up.
She made it a safe place for me too.
But how?
Ooh, baby, it's there because that's what I was just thinking.
I love you, Butterlicious.
Can I answer this?
Go ahead, girl.
Okay, so from my perspective,
sexual activity tonight, guys.
oh, we gonna like each other.
That's just nasty.
Yes, but no, seriously, that was a revelation when I talked earlier about how God had spoken to me that I was going to chase away my greatest blessing. What God had said is because I was a stuffer and an exploder, and all of my exploding, every time I exploded, I was shutting my husband down. And I could literally see him shutting down. So for a part of me, it was learn to not shut him down. And that meant he also wanted to be heard because, again, I was a listener to respond. And so, you know, I'm smart and I think I know everything. So I would like cut him off. Like, I already know what you're going to say. And so let me, and he'd be like, can I finish? But, can I finish? But. Okay, but Andrea, you didn't even let me finish. And so I had to learn to shut up. Practice the spirit of shut up.
Yes.
And I had to learn to listen.
I didn't know that was
And
spirit.
the spirit of shut up is strong in saving a marriage. Because
You hear
everything
that?
that come up in your
You hear that,
head
guys?
ought not come out your
Exactly.
mouth. That came from one of my other pastors, Pastor Gene. Everything that come up in your head don't need to come out your mouth. So I had to learn to shut up. I had to learn because Dexter didn't do well with the whole overbearing in your face. I want to be always arguing, and he wasn't and has never been the kind of man like I'm gonna get back toe to toe with you. Even though there was some times when I pushed his buttons enough that he would like. Now I'm explode. You done brought me here. Now what?
Yeah.
And so he wasn't like that. More or less, he was one. I'm gonna shut down. And so that's what I meant about I could almost see him checking out, but being in the home. You talked about how you would get home and you would shower and you would just sit down and be on the sofa. I could see him checked out. And I'm like, this is not what I wanted from him. I never wanted to shut him down. So I had to make it a safe place. I had to learn to shut up. I had to learn to listen to hear him, not listen to respond. And that's something, just being really transparent, I am still working on that 11 years in. I've come a long way, and he gives me a whole lot of grace because I think he knows my heart is safe for him, but I really had to learn to shut up and listen.
So do you think that possibly speaking life, did that help out too as far as opening up? Like just
Speaking life, but I think for him it was more, or it was making it safe. And I think another thing for him was because early on I had always thrown out divorce, that word. So in the back of his mind, I was like, she gonna leave me anyway.
Nah,
And
you
so,
weren't going nowhere, girl.
well, but no, remember, baby, because we had a disagreement, and this was what you said was one of the turning points. I remember, I can see as plain as day, we had an argument before leaving for work one morning, and he had come out into the garage as I was backing out, and he had said something, and I was like, baby, I love you, but right now I don't like you. And for him, he was like, I could see the weight lifted, because I'm like, I love you, and I ain't going nowhere. Right now, I just don't like you. And it was like the weight had lifted. And he was like, okay, I can work with that. And it wasn't that I didn't like him, like his personality. In that moment, whatever we were experiencing, I
needed some
didn't
time,
like.
yeah.
But it was the safety of every time she get mad, she's not going to threaten
To leave. Yeah.
So I also want to say this because I know people. I'm a type of person that will kind of shut down or go silent or just get quiet. I don't want people to think that that is a strength.
It is not.
Because that's also a manipulation tool. I'm not saying that's what I was doing, but I can also see somebody listening and say, well, that's what I'm going to do. That now becomes a manipulation tool for you to shut down and not get engaged. Don't do
It's called
that.
stonewalling, and that's
Don't do
not.
that.
So one of the things we had to learn, I often joke that sometimes I feel like our personality roles, hear me, he is very much a man, but I feel like our personalities sometimes are the opposite, in that typically you think the woman is the one that's like, oh, baby, tell me about your day. And the man is like the one that don't want to talk, that just wants to watch the TV. I am very much the one, like, I don't have words. I don't want to.
On the couch.
Yes, like, I don't want to talk. I just want to transition. I just want you to leave me alone. After a hard day's work, give me a little bit, and then we can talk. And he's one like, tell me about your day, and what's going on, and blah, 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 blah. So in that, we were very much different. And so, what was I going to say? Because it was good.
Good.
It was good.
Good.
I just reserve the
It's
right
taking you
that
15
if
minutes to get there.
but if I come back to it, I'm just going to interrupt y'all and say it.
So Dexter raised an important case right there. Before marriage, learning your fighting styles. And so far, we got communication learning. You got it, Andrea?
I remember.
All right, go ahead.
So it goes back to what you were talking about, Dexter, and shutting down, and he was saying that that's not right. So because of our personality types, when we would argue, Dexter would be like, we need to talk about this now. We need to talk about it. We need to resolve it. We need to squash it. And I'm like, I'm so mad. I really need my space. You need to leave me alone and let me calm down, because if you don't, I'm going to go off. And so it would come down to, he would be trying to make me talk, and then I'm blowing up because now you're trying to make me
And
talk
you get even
on
more
top of
mad
what
or
I'm
mad at- yeah.
getting mad about. But one of the things I had to learn, that we both had to learn, is in order for us to be successful, he had to learn he cannot make me talk right away. But I had to learn I cannot use the excuse of needing time to take way more time than what was fair to him.
Yeah.
So I can't stonewall and shut down and walk away and be like, we ain't gonna talk about this for 3 days because I'm not ready yet. Nope.
So that could be another fighting style right there. It's like,
It is.
hey,
We had to come to
we
that
need to talk
agreement.
about, and when we have an argument, we need at least about 10 to 15 minutes of separation time just
Well,
to
It
collect
might
our
even be
thoughts.
24 hours, but you guys have to agree on,
A
we are
certain
gonna
time.
come back to this. And I had
Exactly.
to come to the realization that it was not fair for me to hold him hostage emotionally for 3 days until I was ready. Sometimes you have to put on your big girl panties and get ready. You have to grow up. That's not fair to him. And in a marriage, it's not just about me. So if he has a need to talk about it,
I said, you got that one from your daddy.
yeah. Yes. So that was one of the things that we had to learn was, okay, you have to give me the freedom to walk away. And so now I think my recovery time, the last argument we had just a few weeks ago, for the first, about the moving the furniture. It was so silly. It's a whole long story, but this is the first argument we have had in I don't know how long. And like, and there were other factors, so this was not about that. At the top of our lungs, we fussing about the positioning of the sofa.
Oh, Lord.
No, but it was the chairs at the dining room table.
Well, no, remember, because it was after the
Oh, it
sofa
was
got
the sofa.
cleaned.
It was the sofas. It was the sofa.
And so, but I say that to say I was so mad. And so I'm yelling, and this is the first time in I don't know how long I'm yelling.
Really?
And you were upstairs. I thought you heard it all, because when I apologized,
Grandma
side
was
note, ladies,
upstairs.
let your apology be as loud as your argument was. Because I was going off at like the
Ooh,
top
that
of my
sounds
lungs.
good. Let your apology be louder
Well, that's
than
for
your
men
argument.
too. That's not just ladies. It's for men
But
too.
I'm gonna just keep it in my lane and talk to the women. So if I'm going off and yelling at him at the top of my lungs, so much so that I know my mother could hear upstairs, my mother also needs to hear me apologize at that. Not I wasn't yelling at him when I apologized, but I needed to come back.
I love that. I seriously
brings
Just
love
as loud
that.
as my
This brings
disrespect
up
was.
another,
Well, no, let me finish. Let me finish though. So I say,
You like
that-
Nicole, you like that? I like
that was. I mean, sometimes your
Let your
apology needs to be
apology
as loud
be
as your
louder than
disrespect
your-
was.
That is
And
nice.
so, but recovery time. So I don't even think it was 15 minutes. Because I had, we was COVID, we working from home. I had walked back on into my little office, and I was all mad, and I was sitting there, and God was talking to me, and he was like, you need to get up and go apologize. So I took the coward's way up. I got up and went into the bathroom at the master bath as an excuse to head back that way to say I had to pee. And I did, but still, to be able to be in the same area as him. And so that was maybe a matter of 15 minutes.
Perhaps.
You didn't apologize from the toilet seat, did you?
No,
Oh,
no.
That's mad
I
disrespectful.
went in.
She just pissed on your name, brother. She pissed on your apology.
No. I went in, did my business, came out, washed my hands, and
COVID-19.
then
Thank you.
apologized. Because I had to go in there. I'm like, okay, now I'm in the same space. What do I do? Because I don't want to look stupid. And then I had to realize, okay, this dude loves me and he's safe for me. So,
Yeah.
but I say that to say recovery time. So before, where it would take me 3 days and then 24 hours and then 8 hours. Now it's like, okay, I'm gonna squash this because I like him and I love him and I want to be in like and in love with him all the time. So I'm not gonna let something as stupid as wear the sofa's position. Really? Come on. So I went back and I was like, I'm sorry. And we talked it through and he kept saying, you don't need to apologize. And I said to him, yes, I do, because what I said, I stand by what I said, but how I said it was so disrespectful. And he is worthy of so much more than that. And then walking away, this joke was like, okay, we done squashed it. Now where you want the sofa? I'm like, that was a whole argument.
So
About where no sofa
little
was.
side note. People make fun of me the way I talk when I say this joker and stuff like that. Like, this is where I get it from, y'all. Like, seriously, like when I say, man, this joker that made me mad. People like, dude, you swear you like 65 years old. Like, I ain't playing with these jokers. All right, sorry, Grandma, go ahead. What were you saying, bro?
Andrea kind of segued into something that I wanted to bring up, because it's very prominent in this day and age to a lot of people, where their parents or parent lives with one of their children. Well, I happen to live with Andrea and Dex and stuff, and I said if I ever had to live with one of my children, that I was not going to put myself into their relationship. Their relationship is their relationship.
Yeah.
Their arguments are their arguments. I don't pay attention. I'll go in there and close my door if I happen to hear it. But it's not up to me to sway any individual or take sides.
Yep. And she does a very good job of staying in
And
that lane.
And I do.
Yeah.
I try to stay in your own lane if you're one of the adult parents in one of your kids' house.
It's weird hearing that because it's usually coming, boy, you better stay in your lane when you a kid.
Well, you know something, and that's from both of our parents, because my mother's the same way. I know early on, I would say, hey, Ma, I just need to talk to you, and hey, son, what's going on? And her next question was like,
She
well, what
normally
did you
took
do?
my
Like, she's
side,
talking to me
y'all.
like, well, what did you do? I was like, well, hold on, Ma.
You my mama.
Well, yeah, you my mama. What a loyalty here. She said, I know you
Who cares
knucklehead.
about your stomach? It
Yeah,
was me.
she said, I know you knucklehead boy, but then she'll always say, love God, look to God. That's my daughter. You know, so it's all those things.
But that because as parents in an adult children's relationship, you can be the destroyer.
Yeah.
You can tear that marriage up. So, how would you feel if somebody stepped in the middle of your marriage?
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of parents don't think about that.
You know, and so I've tried very hard not to take sides in Dexter and Dee Dee's or my oldest daughter and her husband, or even you when you were married to your wife, or Christopher when you was married, you know, when they were having some difficulties. I try very hard to take sides. And if my not taking sides, meaning I'm not talking to either one of y'all.
And I will say Mom has done an excellent job of just leaving our marriage to be our marriage and not interfering the way that sometimes a parent can. She's like, that's y'all business and I ain't in it.
Now,
So-
the only time I'm going to interfere in one of my kids' marriage, if somebody hurts them.
So,
Now
so
it's
when Andrea hits me, you
between
gonna beat
them,
her?
me and God.
I ain't never hit you. Don't be giving
Hey,
people
Dexter,
the
she
wrong
better take your side,
impression.
so your mama take her side.
No, I didn't say which child, because he's my child just like
Hey,
she's my child.
you gotta switch over.
So I want to bring another thing up, premarital. But I don't know if it's premarital because let's not necessarily say premarital, but there's another issue in sex. I mean, is sex in marriage? And we're talking about.
You still do that?
Yes. So, and without getting too graphic or too whatever, the issues that can come up in marriage is people having different sex drives. As people get older, sex drives can either ebb or flow.
Health conditions can
Health
affect-
conditions can affect sex drive.
Even just what you're experiencing in
The little blue
life.
pill.
What
Blue pill.
a person, what a person may need to actually get in a sexual mood, or for men and women having a hard day's work and going on, I just need to go to bed. That person may not feel like sex is what I want. And it's not always the man that has the highest sex drive. A woman can have a higher sex drive than a man. So we're not going to say it's always the man that got to go, hey, baby, what's up? What's up? Hey, baby. hey, girl.
Rabbit.
It can
Wait,
go either
hold
way.
on. You said,
What?
come on, Auntie over here talking in sign language.
No, I said little rabbit. You know,
Oh, I thought you
the
said
whole
go ahead and just-
stereotype of rabbits always want to do
Oh,
it.
I thought you said go ahead and just
So-
grab it. I'm
so-
like,
No, no,
Like little,
no.
Little
My
young
daughter is here. We
rabbits.
don't do that.
oh, Lord.
But so that could present a lot of problems in a marriage. Is like one person feeling that they're not getting sexually fulfilled or satisfied, or enough sex, or sex when hey, I'm in the mood right now. Well, how are you gonna be? I'm trying to cook dinner, or
That's when you
That's
live
all.
alone.
I'll be like this.
Now
How
you-
good is your multitasking skills?
Not when we frying fish. No, I think you need to back up and put that thing away.
You gonna
Give
be
me
right
all burnt
frying
up.
fish.
Is
You
your
gonna
island
flip it like-
sturdy?
Flip that fish. God.
No.
So I just want to throw that out there. So if you're experiencing that, it's not uncommon. If you're experiencing that, it is not uncommon at all. Just make sure that you understand that those things need to be talked through. And if you really
just
have
took the
to
words
talk,
out of my mouth.
if you have to seek counseling on those issues, because that's a major issue.
I think it goes back to expectations and finding a common ground. And there are certain things I won't go into because I think my nephew and my daughter would be grossed out, so I won't talk about it in their company. But communication is key. Making compromise, because you can't always have a headache and you can't always be too tired, but you can't always
Can't
want
always
to
be
have
on your
sex all the
period.
time. You can't always. Yeah, it can't
Have you
always be
using an
those
excuse on your
things.
period?
No.
I'm about to say, this will be
No.
the day where I discover to get my red wing. Because we're going in. I don't care.
No.
I'm in front of my family.
But you can't always. You have to
can't
find a
always do
common
that.
If
ground.
you got a headache, I'm about to beat it out of you, baby. Come on,
Just
get it.
saying. But I have a couple friends who have shared with me, because of their busy lives, that they actually schedule date night, or what Dexter and I around the kids call wee wee chew. You put it on the calendar. Wee wee chew.
Say,
Wee wee chew. You want to know what
is
that
that?
it comes from?
What is
It's
that?
code word for sex.
Why is it wee wee chew?
It's a
Girl,
whole, I got it from
hey, come over here,
Pastor
give me
Wendy.
the-
It's a
hey,
whole
Eric.
long explanation, but I liked it. Or what? Or boom boom. Or boom boom.
come on over here.
But
Come on, bring your
no,
wee over to
y'all
my-
are losing the point.
Chew on wee wee.
No, no,
What he saying, Major Pain?
no, no. Okay, so the long story, it's about I think it was a card or a song or something that some friends of ours had heard, where the people were singing. They were saying, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." And they were
we
like, "Oh,
wish
but
you."
we yes."
Oh.
But it was like, that sounds like, they said, we chew. So code word, so we done borrowed that, and boom, boom. But anyways, to my point, because they have lost my point. Just, you have to find compromise, and it can't always be in one person's favor all the time. So you have to figure out what works for
So
you.
these are
There are extenuating circumstances where they are in one person's favor. And the reason I say that is because you have health issues, that's not a viable activity for you any longer.
yeah.
Because you can't take certain medications, you can't perform, you can't take the medication because you have stents in your heart, or you have some type of heart condition, or you're on some type of advice from your doctor that, hey, you can no longer do this. It puts you at risk. I mean, mortality type risk. So what do?
So as a young
so
man,
you make a consideration, you make a judgment. You say, would I rather have sex or would I rather have them dead?
You know what my
I mean,
my
that's-
third
that's-
option?
that's-
My
it
third
can be that
option.
point blank.
I'm gonna ask you if it's like sex vaginally or you're gonna die. I'm gonna like, what does your mouth do?
That's an option.
I mean, but you
If the
got to
option-
discuss.
I mean, I'm not-
you got to discuss all those options.
Exactly, but at the same time, it's like if you don't
And it
want
has
a
to be
person
something
going
that's-
left on you, it's just
Right,
like
but
you're
I'm
going.
saying, but you've got to discuss all the options,
Exactly.
and they have to be agreed upon.
And by the way, Grandma, I'm sorry for saying that in front of you. That just made me feel like, for some reason, when I said that, like my body just hit an all-time low. Like I never imagined in my
Life is
lifetime I would say that in front of my grandma. Jesus Christ.
That's funny. But I mean, but
Lord.
again, after darkers, we keeping it real.
Yeah,
So
we are.
I mean,
It
life
is. It
life.
is finding a compromise.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you want to keep your spouse.
So I think that these are pretty good notes for staying away from divorce. So let's go into the last segment of the show. Let's talk about being a widow. And I think that there's only one person that could pretty much talk about this from right here.
Difficult. When you've spent 45 years of your life in a relationship with a man and a family and raising your children and raising your grandchildren, and in my case, even some great-grands, it's difficult. You feel off-centered because you built your whole life around a family unit. So it's like part of you is missing. For me, I've had to make adjustments to my life. I've had to keep busy doing other things. I got busy with the rec center. I found new friends. I think I go now more than I did in my whole entire life. Like, Grandma, where you at? You never at home. Because I have to keep engaged. Because if I allow myself to stay in one position, to become stagnant, then I become despondent. Then all I can think about is woe is me, and I don't have this man in my life anymore. And we talked about at times, what would we do if one of us were gone? And my husband literally told me, I need to go first because I can't live without you, but you can make it without me.
Wow.
And I was like, no, I can't. He said, yes, you can. You'll be fine. And so his belief in me and saying that I would be fine is not that I would be, not miss him, because I miss him every single day. And people always say, oh, you'll remarry. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Because that 45 years was a journey, and it wasn't all nice. But it wasn't all bad either. And I could never give 100% of myself again to another individual. I can't see myself doing that in my own right. I'm not saying that it's impossible, because God can do anything. But for me, it's becoming engaged, finding other things to do with your life, being happy about who you are in your own skin again. Because I had changed so much from the Ernestine that I was at 6 years old or 20 years old. I'm not that same person anymore. So I have to relearn how to navigate life in these new circumstances. And you can do it without a man.
I'm trying not to tear up.
Yeah.
Cause it's my granddaddy. So yeah, that's why I kind of went to
Quiet.
a quiet place right there. I know that. I remember when I got electrocuted at work, and I had to be in the hospital for like 3 days, and I had the what's that? The EKG.
EKG?
Yeah, the EKG test done, and then I went to Athens afterwards. So I took some time off from work, and Granddad told me the same thing. He said he sat me down, and you know, with them big old eyes he has, he was like, "Dude, you can't die before I die.
Oh, Jesus.
It'll kill me. So take your time." So my question to you, or to the panel, even to Andrea and Dexter, you're loved, you're married. What do you think? How should you live life before you well, we never know when we're going to die. So how do you feel like you should live life to capture every moment with your spouse right now? And that's probably like talking about how we say like fighting for the fighting for like marriage instead of divorce, getting married, but having the expectations not to disagree, but to agree at the same time, and then just to keep re-implementing that over the relationship. Like, what do you guys, as closing, and we're gonna start with you, Grandma. We're gonna do Grandma, D, then Dex, and then I'll close the show out. But what do you guys think, before the ending, how you should live your marriage? And then after that, live up the life of who your spouse was to continue the legacy between you two to your offsprings. I know it's something that we don't like to think about, but I mean, we have to face reality. We know we're all not gonna, stay alive for so long. So starting with you, Grandma, like the question is, how do you feel you could have captured more time, more memory, if it was possible, and then how you continue the legacy from your marriage on to the generations after you?
You have to live with your whole heart, love with your whole heart. Don't half-step it. Make sure that you're in a marriage that it's what you want, not what you wish you had. And give 150%, because you never know when it'll end. It could have ended for us at 25. It could have ended us at 35 or 50 or 60. But thank God it didn't end for us until we were in our latter 60s. And I'm so glad I married that man. And I'm so glad the last 7 years of our marriage were some of the best years of our marriage, because I cannot say that anybody could have loved me more. Like, we were messing around last night, watching, who was that? Alicia
John
Keys
Legend
and
Alicia
John Legend.
Keys.
And I was like, ooh, your daddy need to be here, because he need to show him how to dance.
Oh yeah, John was doing the Uncle
I don't know
Two
Yeah,
Step.
he was doing the Uncle Two-Step or whatever.
He was getting it with his little
I mean,
two-step.
there are little things that I miss about him. I miss his swagger. I miss his holding me when he dances with me. And my husband was one of the cutest, coolest, suavest little chunky men you'd ever want to see in your life. And I loved him dearly. And I wish everybody the happiness of saying, when their spouse leaves them, that you love them with your whole heart.
That's good.
And couldn't have done any better.
I'm sorry to make you cry, Grandma, because you got me on it. I'm trying to hold it back.
That's the only thing I wish for my girls and my grands, that they experience that level of love and commitment.
Yeah, I know you over there taking notes.
Yes, because I don't want to forget what I wanted to say. So there are a few things. If you're thinking about the end, I think for me, the one thing is just living with no regrets, living in such a way that I don't want to. If Dexter, God forbid, were to die before me, I don't want to have been like, I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that, or I wish I had said that. We call it the praying mantis, because Dexter and I have two very different personalities. My personality is, I am data, facts, and information. I am the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Dexter is, oh my God, is that a praying mantis over there on the side of the road? Let's get out and inspect it. Squirrel. But living life Dexter's way, the praying mantis way, has helped me enjoy life so much more, because the data, facts, and information side of me is so rigid and unyielding, and it is hard to enjoy life. Life with Dexter,
But it's
where we
necessary.
in some instances, absolutely, we need to have structure. But life with him, the praying mantis way, I've learned to relax and go with the flow, and everything doesn't have to be so regimented and so rigid. So I've learned we have so much more fun when we do it that way.
You're
You know, when you're
complimentary.
when you're spontaneous and things like that. And so I think for me, one of the things, what helps me live that way now is, number one, above all else, my heart's desire has always been to please God. And so that helps me relax and enjoy life with my husband. But then I also think about the legacy that I want to leave. And Mama kind of hit on that when she was saying, you know, her desire for us and for you guys and for even, you know, her great grandchildren is. And so what kind of a legacy, though I've made mistakes in my life prior in other marriages, or in other marriage, because I ain't been married multiple times other than Dexter in the first one. But what kind of legacy do I want to leave for the kids? What kind of legacy? What do I want you guys to see? Even at the age of 2, I want you guys to see a healthy, loving, vibrant marriage where we love God, but we really dig each other too. And you know, us fighting through the hard times. Us, you know, so I think I can live and enjoy life and make sure I don't have any regrets when I live with the end in mind. Not that death is the end, but the legacy that I want to leave you guys is that you know, we haven't always had pictures of healthy, successful marriages all the time, but that you guys can see something different.
Yeah.
And so we don't, and I know a lot of the times when I talk about Dexter on social media, you know, I get a lot of hashtag relationship goals, and that's great, but it's taken a lot of work. So I want you guys to see something different and be able to learn from that and pass that difference to your children, and so forth and so on. So that's one of the legacies I do want to leave, is a healthy, God-centered marriage where we really like each other. And Aaron, I'm sorry, but we do have sex.
Why did that just come out of nowhere?
Because that's a part of it. I need you guys, and even with Marcus, we'll talk about, you know, and joke about things like that in front of him, because at his age, he needs to see that sex between two married adults is a normal thing. You know, I'm like, I never want to think about it. But even now, I want my son to see it, but I don't want my mama to talk about it, because they did not do that. I know, but.
And what about you, Uncle Dex?
I don't know if this answers the question that you asked, but I know what came to mind was, I enjoy this journey. It's a beautiful journey. And what makes it beautiful is just to see Andrea, my wife, just continue to evolve, transform, modify. And it's beautiful. And what's more beautiful is not to get her to shape her the way I want her to be, but just to watch her be shaped the way that she wants to be. I mean, her interests evolve. So whatever her interests are, I want to speak to her interests. Whatever she wants to do, I want to speak to that. And that's not to say I don't want to do the things I want to do, but it's great. I just love. What do you want to do? What do you want to try something new? What do you want? Just to see her, because that's the way I live my life. Just watching her and being excited about things. So that just makes the journey great. And as far as legacy, it's what Andrea says. I think about my grandparents when I think about legacy. My grandparents, rural Louisiana. My grandfather couldn't speak. I mean, he could speak. He couldn't write his name. He couldn't write. He signed his name with an X. My grandfather passed. Standing room only in the church. And there's white black people, and I'm talking about rural Louisiana, where there still are you know, black people know where they belong, white people know where they belong. White people coming out saying he was such a well-respected man.
Such a good husband, good father.
Good husband, good father. My grandmother would have, women would come sit who were not part of the family, would come sit at the feet of my grandmother just to learn about marriage.
That's so funny that you say that, because that was my immediate takeaway when I met her. Is she was the kind of woman you just wanted to go and sit on the porch with her and be like, teach me life. Teach me life. Teach me how to be a good wife. Teach me how to be a good mother. Teach me how to be a good daughter, how to be a good friend, a good sister. Teach me life. And that is really the kind of woman that I want to be now. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the type of legacy. And just, you know, I mean, and I hear this story. I've heard this story about my grandmother and my grandfather, how my grandmother would walk by and he would stop all his children and say, everybody look at that. That woman fine?
I love it.
And he would
That's
say that in
awesome.
front of the kids so they understood to cherish and honor. Just cherish and honor your bride, for at least for a man. One thing he said, hey, look at that. That woman fine right there. Yeah.
Well, I think with my closing is, I'll say since moving from Chicago, getting out of that bad situation,
Shut down.
and coming to Texas, staying with my grandmother, and just seeing life for the last, 15, 30 minutes? Well, we knew the math. It's a lot of years. I can't think about it right now. I've definitely learned a lot from, you all, Mother and Steve, just about relationships. There's been plenty of relationships that I've been scared in, just to be completely transparent. And there's been relationships that I didn't even fight for. I told my daughter the other day when I asked her, do you think I'm a good father? And she gave me her response. It made me realize that going forward, giving up was not an option, period. Something that we definitely have to fight for in marriage. And definitely hearing, the bylaws that we created here, that definitely, helped me out a lot. With that being said, I think this is a great conversation. I think we had great dialogue here. I know my cousin Nicole was in the background like, oh yeah, she was taking some notes too. I think that you guys on FaceTime, not FaceTime, but Facebook Live definitely took a lot of notes from this as well. And I just want to truly, truly thank you guys for listening to this episode tonight.
After Darkers, we love you.
Yes.
So, if you guys have any questions, if you guys like to know what the next episode is about, if you guys like to ask any questions to do a part 2 to this episode, you can always email us at afterdarktalkpodcast@gmail.com, or you can always, comment below. You can subscribe. You can like. You can do anything you want to. We would love to have you guys anyway. With that being said, it looks like dinner is now complete.
Fried fish.
Fried fish, French fries with
Potatoes.
everything over here. So we're going to go ahead and get into dinner. Just want to say I love you guys. Go ahead and comment below. Share this with a friend, family member. If you know somebody who doesn't have that core circle and cannot get the right advice, hopefully we covered it tonight. We would love for you guys to share that as well. Other than that, love to say goodnight to you guys. Enjoy your night.